Hello and welcome to the Best Games Period podcast, where every week we talk games and whether or not we think they are some of the best, period. And this week I have an awesome special guest, Mr. Odell. Would you like to introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Odell Edwin Harmon Jr. I am from Houston, Texas, and I write, vlog, podcast, and everything under the golden sun about video games.
Yeah, and you've been doing some really cool stuff lately, right? This whole summer you've been traveling for games, you were just on Kind of Funny, and yeah, so tell me what you've been doing.
Yeah, so this year I really hit the ground running. I went to PAX South, East, and West. I went to Gamescom in Germany, went to E3 in LA, and the whole time writing content, producing content, recording content. And I got to be on Kind of Funny Games Daily with Greg Miller, so that was fun. And I'm also not as fancy as I sound. I work
yes, you are. Give yourself some credit. You've been doing all these awesome things.
Well, I like to keep myself humble. I still have to work a day job and make sure I pay bills and make sure I don't get fired from said job when I'm traveling. But I'm still here.
We do it. We have to. But yeah, you have your own podcast, and what's that show? Where can people find you?
Okay, yeah, that is called Full Circle Podcast. You can find that on iTunes, Google Play, and on social media at Full Circle Podcast 23, where you will find all our postings and links to how to, follow and subscribe to that. And we're on YouTube on the Game Fanatics channel. If you just search the Game Fanatics on YouTube, you'll see like 1,000 of our videos, so it won't be hard to find.
Right on. So thank you so much, Odell, for being on the show. You are a huge Pokemon nerd, and it is Pokemon month, so I just had to have you on the show. It just had to be. So yeah. How did you get into Pokemon? What's your story there?
Well, my story is a fairly simple one. It started at Sears, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, so before
That's where all Pokemon dreams start, right?
Exactly. So before I saw the show, I was at Sears. My mom was buying, I guess appliances, I assume, whatever people buy at Sears. And they actually had like a video game section at the time. And they had a Game Boy Color kiosk with Pokemon Yellow in it. And I remember putting it in my hands, walking a couple of feet, probably battling a Pidgey or a Rattata, having no idea what I was doing, but I was sold. I knew this was the best thing ever. And the show, I finally saw the show maybe a week or two after that, and I was like, Mom, I need this. I need this in my life. I don't know why, but I need it.
It's the Nintendo brainworm. Marcus and I came up with that theory a while back on why Nintendo has such a hold on us. And yep, they implanted all of us 90s kids with that brainworm, probably through our television sets while we were watching Pokemon. So
I believe it.
So yeah, we're recording on a pretty special night. It's election night. So I appreciate you taking time away from watching the polls and stressing about the polls to record with us.
Oh, no problem. Pokemon trumps a lot of things. Get it? I think I made a pun there.
I heard that, yeah. So the reason why we're focusing on Pokemon this month is, I can't ever stop focusing on Pokemon. I'm surrounded by plushies as we speak. I am looking at my McDonald's Happy Meal toy Pokemon and probably wearing something Pokemon, But there is a practical reason as well. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu is coming out on, oh my gosh, is it the 16th?
Next Friday,
yeah.
Whatever day that is.
Yeah, that day. So I have to ask, which team are you going with? Are you getting the game? Is it Team Pikachu or Eevee?
So, in my heart, I want to be Team Eevee, but Yellow was my first Pokemon game, so gotta roll with Team Pikachu on this one.
All right, yeah, that's totally fair reason. I think I'm gonna go with Team Eevee just because my life is saturated with Pikachu, and Pikachu is just everywhere anyway. So I think it's Eevee for me.
If Pokemon were real, and it's real in my heart, but if it was really real, I'd rather have a Eevee riding on my hat than a Pikachu on my shoulder. I'm just saying. That's just me.
And Pikachu is like this bitchy little mouse who shocks Ash all the time, right? So I can only imagine that having a Pikachu versus an Eevee would be a lot more painful than, yeah. And plus, you get this awesome opportunity to evolve Eevee into, what is it now, like 6 different evolutions? So, come on. Eevee's way cooler than Pikachu, but Pikachu always has a special place in my heart. So, yeah.
This is true. I mean, if we're talking about exclusively the games, Pikachu and Raichu are kind of trash, just saying.
They totally are. And in freaking Pokemon Go, catching Pikachu is like the most frustrating thing in the world. It's like, there is a CP 25 Pikachu. Oh, it's gonna take a berry and a great ball to catch it? Why? Oh, because it's the mascot of the game. No other reason, just that. It's like getting the starters in the game. It's just needlessly frustrating. So I guess this is a show about hating on Pikachu. I forgot to tell you that.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, Ash Pikachu started this hate. It's like he goes to a new region and it's like, what? My Thunder Shock didn't work on your ground Pokemon. It's like, come on, Ash. Like, Pikachu should know better. Pikachu shouldn't even listen to that command.
No, he shouldn't. But, I mean, this Pikachu, or Ash's Pikachu, is special because that Pikachu has taken down so many Pokemon that it should not have. It's a little ridiculous. It's like the most powerful thing in the universe, but it's still a Pikachu. So, anyway, what have you been playing this week?
Let's see. This week, just put me on the spot there. This week just started. What did I play today? I played something. I played my Switch. I played Mario Kart. I know that's not Red Dead Redemption 2, but that's what I played.
It's okay. For the past, month, I had not been able to play anything besides, Pokemon Go, so that's cooler than I was. But I have been playing Red Dead 2, now that you speak of it. And it's a gorgeous game, but it hasn't quite gotten its hooks into me yet, and that's only because I'm super spoiled from the last one, where I was addicted and, picking flowers off the side of the road and, doing all the hunting quests and whatnot. I don't know if it's, the pacing or something, but it's just not... I don't have the same feeling as the last one. But I'm sure, in a week, I'll be completely addicted, so we'll see.
My problem is the first one never hooked me. So then the second one's going to come out and everyone's like, it's the best game ever. It hasn't came out, but it's going to be the best game ever.
Yeah. We have that problem in the gaming community, overhyping stuff just a little bit. I'm
okay. I'm not that excited, but it's cool. And then, I get, shunned.
It's blasphemy to say anything other than that.
It's true.
But then, we're Pokemon fans, so we probably do that to plenty of other people, too. But yeah. I'm really excited to get deeper in the game because, the world is just so much more detailed. It's disturbing in some aspects because it kind of has to be. Shooting animals and skinning them was gross in the first game because you hear the sound effects in the background and everything, and then John Marston was like, ew, this is gross. But this time around they spare you no details, and if you shoot a bunny and you skin it, he just takes it by the tail and rips it off. I applaud them for that detail, but my goodness, that's really brutal, and I was not expecting that. So while I was playing that part of the game, my mouth was just open.
Yeah, I just committed mass genocide of this gang block area. Right? But then it's I'm not saying this is wrong, but it's an abusive relationship. You're like, oh my God, that is so hard in a video game, which it is. But it's we just murdered a town and this is what set us off. I'm like, man, what's it say about me?
Yeah. I know. Our priorities are weird. Right? I can gun down a whole crew of O'Driscolls, but skinning a bunny, that's way too far.
Bunnies are cute.
They are. And I almost shot a dog, and I had a moment. I know. These games have such finicky controls. I I would have cried. I probably would have cried. But I flicked my controller at the last second and I didn't hit the dog. I probably hit someone else in town, but I didn't hit the dog.
That would probably be the epitome of me in a game where you had to choose to shoot a dog or like lose the game.
right. Like I wouldn't. I don't like killing wolves in games. I just can't. Like it sucks. I hate it. Game developers, stop making us kill wolves. Jeez.
What about werewolves?
I mean, it's part person, so that's fine in video games. That's totally fine.
You're like, as long as you make the animal part human, I will kill it.
I will kill it, and I'll feel fine about it. No, yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. Especially now that we're talking about a game that has extremely thin lines when it comes to ethics, right? Like, we basically trap these animals after beating them up in Pokemon, and like they're like dogfighting them with other Pokemon, you know?
Yeah, we're dogfighting them completely. The thing I always found funny is even though they faint, we still say they died in battle.
Right. Oh man, and then we can just shove them into a computer and abandon them forever. Like, is that like purgatory for Pokemon, or like do they just like lose consciousness? What happens in that world? Like
Sun and Moon gave us a guilt-free option. They go to Pokepelago.
Right.
That's where they go.
I know, that was so much better. I was like, thank God. These Pokemon are just stranded on an island with berries. That's way better than them being into a computer program.
You know, I always thought it was the anime answered. Whatever town I'm from, they go to that professor's like unlimited backyard, and they're just chilling.
Like when Ash got worried that his Krabby was going to be eaten in ramen by Professor Oak. Oh man. Alright, so now that we're finally back on the topic of Pokemon, you nominated a generation. Which generation did you nominate to be one of the best?
Why, yes, I did. That is going to be the 5th generation, Black and White and Black 2, White 2.
Right on. So this generation gets some hate, specifically for its Pokemon. There are some notoriously, depending on your perspective, bad Pokemon. Like we get, is it Vanillite? Whatever that one.
Yeah, Vanillux, Vanillite, Vanillish,
yes.
I believe is the evolutionary chain.
Which is...
not in the correct order.
Yeah, which is sentient ice cream cones. So it's a pretty common example that people go to when they say that Pokemon design is lazy. There's some duds in there, but so why did you choose this generation out of all of them to talk about this week?
All right, so it gets hate, but I honestly believe that Black and White is the most underrated generation in the generation talk. So even though there are some garbage designs like Garbodor and Trubbish.
Literal garbage.
Literal garbage. I think the actual overall, the Pokemon design in Black and White is fantastic. We get, awesome Pokemon like Volcarona, Zoroark. We get awesome Pokemon like Minshao, which I think is one of the best designed Pokemon to date. We get some fun legendaries. And Black and White did something that probably we haven't done until Gold and Silver. We had a really good story. Like, Black and White legit has a good story, which is, an afterthought in most Pokemon games. And in the sequel, Black 2 and White 2, one of the reasons we love Johto so much in the second generation is because we go back to the world we once knew. And you do that in Black 2 and White 2. And you see that the world has changed. People have evolved. Gym leaders have changed. A rival that was once a rival is now a gym leader. There's new gym leaders. There's a new champion because Alder was a horrible champion, always wandered around, so he ended up getting replaced. And you see the world rebuilding after essentially the first terrorist attack in Pokemon.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, you mentioned the story and how we kind of get a more fleshed out version of that. What made it special for you in particular then?
Because you remember the main antagonist, he questioned everything that we question in real life, what's wrong about Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to free Pokemon from the chains of dog fighting and human abuse. and you saw the conflicting ideology of, is this wrong, or are Pokemon willing partners to help us in our daily struggles? And which route is right? Because he tried to forcefully release people's Pokemon, and some of them didn't want to go. So, were these Pokemon suffer from Stockholm Syndrome, or was, it truly a connection between human and Pokemon forming this bond of acceptance and, and working towards, a similar goal?
Oh no, I never thought of it like Stockholm Syndrome, but that works so perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And then the characters were really cool. Like, I remember the gym leaders, they had an active part in the world they live in. They weren't simply people you saw in a building. Lots of them had jobs in their cities. If you think about it, like Lorraine, she was the archaeologist and she ran the museum. Clay was like the Texan oil tycoon who ran, the drilling for all the cities and stuff. Burr, he was the famous painter in his city and had an art exhibition. So you got to not only see the gym leaders be gym leaders, but you got to see them live and thrive in the city that they were from. They had actual lives. And then at the end of the game, they actually came together during the terrorist attack and were like, we're the gym leaders of this region. It's our job to defend the people. And, I just thought that was just like the coolest thing ever. That they weren't just stoic characters stuck in one spot.
Yeah, they actually mattered. Like you said, they weren't just someone you visited in a building one time and maybe got an item from. Yeah, so then how does this story stack up for you against the entire series, all of the generations?
I will say it's top 3 quite easily.
Okay. And what's number 1?
It could be Black and White, honestly, but I would say Gold and Silver has a great story. The whole going back to Kanto, fighting Red at the end. It's probably number 1, but I don't know if that's because of nostalgia or not. So I'll just keep it in the top 3. And then the other one, I would probably say, even though I don't like the region, probably Hoenn's story. Because that had a very lived-in Pokemon world.
Yeah. All right. So then let's go back to the Pokemon. What did you think of the starters? And those are, of course, Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott.
Okay, so I don't know why Niantic. Ooh, forgive me.
Oh man,
I know
all the Pokemon nerds in the audience just like got chills.
I know they're like ripping, like they're about to bash me online.
Oh no!
I don't know why the Pokemon company thought that making the fire starters firefighting like 8 generations in a row. I know it. That's not true, people. I'm just saying. But I think Tepig is horrible. 1, because he's firefighting after a long fatigue of firefighting Pokemon. Emboar is horrible. Oshawott is adorable. Duwatt is adorable. Samawat, I'm 50-50 on.
Yeah, it doesn't really mesh with the rest of the evolutions.
If he was bipedal and stood on feet and actually then it would make sense. Because it would make sense.
It's like Dragonite generate, what happened there? Why is he orange? Why does he look nothing like the rest of the evolutions? But yeah,
I'm not totally a fan of Snivy, but his I don't give a damn attitude I have to respect.
Yeah, especially in the anime.
Yeah, it's superior. It's a solid grass, starter final evolution.
And that was the first Pokemon to beat Pikachu in the anime, right? I can't remember now.
I mean, Pikachu was a grass starter. Times.
Well, what am I thinking of? Maybe it was like a first round knockout or something. Some record like that we pay way too close attention to. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. Tepig is definitely my least favorite in there, and Oshawott is just the cutest little thing.
I just gotta get this off my chest. It makes me mad that Incineroar exists because it's like, look, it's not firefighting. It just completely has the design of one. I'm like, stop it. Like, who at the Pokemon company is just like, so guys, the new fire starter, how about fire fighting? Okay, how about fire dark, but we make it look like a firefighting? Everyone's happy. I'm like, no, stop.
Right, like Litten, that's another one that doesn't, I mean, it's better than Tepig's evolutionary line, but Incineroar just doesn't mesh with Litten. I mean, that's kind of something that happens a lot with the starters, I think, is their third evolution just either rocks and is amazing, or it's like, what happened? Yeah. I mean, we have Bulbasaur and Venusaur, right? Venusaur's still great, but what happened to his face? My goodness. Poor Venusaur.
Middle-age crisis.
Oh, man. Like I still love Venusaur, but that face, my gosh.
I feel like Primarina won the starter fight, and like by a landslide. I love Primarina.
Yeah, I love, and I forget his name now, of course. Nope, Rowlet. Rowlet is so cute.
He is.
and Dartrix is just like, aw, they're all cute. They're all really cute. And there's such great memes where, like, the trainer will, like, pull the hoodie on Dartrix and his little face is just smushed and it's cute. So, totally objective ways to judge the Pokemon over here. Their adorableness factor. So, no firefighting then, huh? What's the optimal combination for you?
Well, I wouldn't say that because Blaziken is amazing.
Right?
Like, okay. it's amazing. But optimal type for a fire starter, I would say probably just neutral fire.
Alright. Let's go classic.
Yeah. Like, I love Cyndaquil. Typhlosion looks weird, but...
Right? Like, is it a ferret? What's happening?
I don't know. But yeah, I feel like the next fire starter should just be just fire. Just keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, since you brought up the next generation, what do you think we're gonna get out of the 2019 title on Switch?
So I've talked about this and I've really been vouching for this. Since we have the power to Switch, I want full character customization. Because, one, I can choose my skin tone, but I look like an awkward Indian kid rather than a black person.
It's not.
I have no idea.
They keep all of the facial features exactly the same. Definitely looking at you, Pokemon Go. My goodness, why has it taken them so long to add that feature into the game? Like, we have so many clothing options now, but we have the same facial features as every single other player and the same hair. What the heck? But yeah.
So yeah, the Pokemon Gen 8 needs to have that, and also better clothing options for males, because I look at every female character I come across, and y'all are dressed to the nine, looking wonderful. And then, like, mine's like, here's 3 tank tops, here's some dress shirts that don't even go with being a trainer, and here's, like, some awkward Cincos for men? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Heck yeah, that would be great. So then...
I get it. You know, women are more fashionable. I get that whole thing. You know, they want to give them more options. But I'm like, I would like to look my Poke best.
I think men's fashion has come a long way, too. I think there's definitely a lot of men out there rocking it. Like, I find myself gravitating towards men's fashion more than female fashion sometimes. Like, I'm totally wearing a technically male sweatshirt right now. But yeah. So what does that gameplay look like in the new game? Okay,
so I want an evolution of Pokemon Go. I'm taking Pokemon Let's Go. I'm taking that as a half step. It's it's more Chubby. What's the word for Japanese cute chibi. Little big-headed Chibi, there we go. It looks very chibi, which is okay for that. But I want it to be an evolution from that to be, it doesn't have to be ultra realistic, but for example, in Sun and Moon, your character has this weirdest, lanky, unproportionate walk to them. They're just like, whoop-de-doop, like, that plays in my head as you walk.
Great, now anytime I play that game, that's gonna happen.
So I want the world to look like Let's Go, with a little more sheen and polish and realism to the people. It doesn't have to look Final Fantasy real, but I'm trying to think of a good game. Wild. Yeah, it could be like that.
It still had a distinct art style, but it was more realism than the other games.
Yeah, like humans were proportionally the same size. I want Pokemon to be proportional, but also realistic because Joltik is like the size of an ant. So maybe not.
But
that
how cute would it be to just
but...
have this like tiny little yellow pixel running around? That's one of my favorite Pokemon of this generation. There is some fantastic fan art out there of Joltik. But yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that they follow the trend that they have established with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, where they try to break the formula and make something new. I mean, less so with Odyssey, but there was still something there, and then more so towards Breath of the Wild, where we had open world exploration and all that. Like, if they could pretty much just put, like, Pokemon in Breath of the Wild, I would totally be happy about that game. Like, if I can just, like, go on adventures with my Pokemon and we're, like, gathering herbs to make dinner, like, heck yeah, I want that game.
I also kind of I don't want real people populating, like, my main story instead of, like, trainers, but I would like an online area that's maybe not huge, but a considerable size where you legit can just run into people who are real players. Like, everyone there, minus some stores and NPCs that need to be there to gatekeep. That, you have like let's call it like, maybe like a fourth of the size of the game world where, you can just kind of go to like the mountain area, the water area, the desert area, what have you, and just interact with people, randomly battle people, trade. And maybe even, like, spectate. You can legit go, like, sit in a stadium, quote-unquote, and, like, watch people battle, like, Pokemon League style. Yeah, that'd be really
awesome. So kind of like... Oh, man, I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe Dark Souls isn't a good example, but, like, kind of that frequency of seeing people walking around your world?
Yeah, maybe even more like think like Splatoon, where, like, okay. Where it's just like there's just an area clearly, bigger than that plaza, but people are legit, walking around doing stuff, even though they don't walk around in Splatoon.
Yeah, like a little hub area. And then if you wanted to, you could, battle and trade, since that's a huge part of the game.
Yeah, and maybe like, walk into the stadium where, they have like challenges or just, random battles or what have you.
Yeah. I'm totally on board for that. So do you think that will actually get the game in 2019?
I'm hoping. I'm hopeful for, a November 2019 release. I think that's doable. But if we don't, then I just know whatever's going to come out in 2020 will exceed everyone's expectations. And I damn near say be like Game of the Year worthy.
Yeah, I'm kind of on your same boat. Like, it would be lovely to get that game, but I don't want them to rush it out. Like, I want them to take their time and make what they are envisioning. Maybe give us a little information. That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, they've never been one to rush a game.
Yeah, it's so true. So, back to Gen 5, and this is probably a question that's going to rack your brain, but do you remember how you composed your team?
So, I started with Oshawott, and I remember I had a Leaf Vanny because I thought it was extra cute. It was really trash, but it was cute.
Yeah.
I had a Ranunculus. It's the psychic Pokemon that's like the embryo Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Ranunculus.
Which is so bizarre, but still cute.
Yeah. I got me a Zoroark because I thought it was, concept-wise, it was amazing. Design-wise, it was amazing. I just loved it. I got a Minshao, which is still today one of my favorite fighting Pokemon. And a Lilligant, which still to today is one of my favorite grass Pokemon.
Nice. Yeah, so, I mean, we gave praise to some of the good Pokemon. Now we gotta talk the bad Pokemon, right? But before that, I gotta give Chandelure some love because it is such a badass Pokemon. Like, that is an example of doing the inanimate object thing right that they don't really do a whole lot of. But I'm especially a fan of, like, the fusion, fan art fusions of Chandelure. Like, there's one that someone did, and I'll post a photo of this on our Twitter, but it was, like, Chandelure and Arcanine, and man, that thing is so badass. I'll try to find a picture for you, Odell. But
it is a great Pokemon, I won't lie.
Oh, man, yeah, and it's it's ghost fire. Like, that is so freaking cool. But yeah, in this generation, like we said, we get ice cream cone Pokemons. We get gear Pokemon with Clink Clang and Clink Clang. We get a mushroom with Fungus and Among Us. Oh man. We get literal piles of garbage. Yep. And a whole host of other really just lame designs. And I mean, there's also kind of like repeat Pokemon. Like who am I thinking of?
We get a duck, a literal duck, and a literal swan.
Yes. And then like those two fighting ones that were kind of like Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, but so much lamer.
It was like what is their name?
Here, I'll look it up. Throw and Sock. Like, come on. Oh man. And they're just not nearly as cool as Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee.
They are not.
No. So yeah, which Pokemon do you think was the worst offender of this generation?
Probably Trubbish and Garbodor. Like, there's no escaping sentient trash. And like Garbodor had like one arm that like wasn't an arm, but I guess got ripped off, and it's like just leaking garbage juice.
Like I always pictured it like a gas pump, right?
That's what it looks like.
That's what it made me think of. Yeah. Oh man, it's hard to get past the literal piles of garbage. But did you watch the anime episodes that tried to like redeem Garbodor?
I did not. I've given up on the anime long before that. But you know, I see a gym battle every now and again.
Yeah. So in that episode, and oh my gosh, yes, I totally understand giving up on the anime. It took me. I was really stubborn and I wanted to watch it, but it just gets so bad. But before I get too sidetracked, so in that episode, there's like this Garbodor who watches over a group of kids, and they built like a garbage fort where they play with Garbodor. And then for some reason, it ends up that they like get into life-threatening trouble because they're like, garbage fort is going to fall over and squish them. So Garbodor, I think it's even like dramatic where we think it like sacrificed itself, but then it ended up being okay or something like that. But I will admit, it made me respect Garbodor like 1% more, which is a whole lot more than I did before that. So
you know, one of my friends brought up a good point that I really didn't have an answer for. He said everyone hates on Garbodor and Trubbish, but no one has anything bad to say about Grimer and Muck. And I was like, huh, you got me there.
That's because they have the nostalgia factor. I mean, I can't hate on them. I can't.
I mean, I don't hate on them either, but when he brought up that point, I was just like, oh, damn.
It's so true, though. Like, in Pokemon Go, like, I give no second thought to those Pokemon at all. Like, oh, I don't want to catch that. I don't care. So, I mean, it's a totally valid point, but it's the rose-shaded glasses and nostalgia that I can't escape that redeems them.
Okay. Oh, wait. So, I brought up a list, and I'm going to name all the cool Pokemon that Black and White gave us that we might have forgot were from Black and White.
All right. We can do that.
Like you said, Joltik and Garvantula, you know, they're from Black and White. You said you love them.
I do. They're cute.
Yeah, we have Victini, which I think is a cool legendary.
Heck yeah.
The victory Pokemon. We have Excadrill, which I feel like people still love to this day. We had Conkeldurr and its line where it was like, you know, they're the construction Pokemon. Like one has like a girder. Wait, no, his name is Girder. One has like timber. Oh, yeah.
See, I did like those ones. Oh man. Like why? Why did we need construction Pokemon?
Because remember, in the Pokemon world, they're not based off things we did. We base things off of them. I agree.
Let's not throw logic in there. Okay. That makes way too much sense.
There was Scolipede, which I think was an amazing bug Pokemon. Oh, Winscott. I forgot about that. Everybody loves good old cotton Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. I do like those guys.
We got Crocodile. I forgot he was from Black and White.
Yeah, he's cool. I mean, the design is not my favorite, but
okay,
but it's a good Pokemon.
I personally do not like this Pokemon, but I know people love Scraggy and Scrafty. Like Scrafty. I don't know why. I don't know, they're the hood Pokemon, they're the gangster, they're the sagging Pokemon. I don't know why people love them, but they do.
Which one are
like
those?
Scraggy, like his skin is loose. It also looks like he's like sagging his pants. He also has to pull them back up.
Oh, those guys! Oh my goodness, yeah, they're really.
Oh,
dumb. I don't like.
We got Yamask and Coffergus. Yamask questioned everything we knew about Pokemon. How it's a human spirit when it's carrying its own face. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, we can't even get into Pokemon backstories because there are so many just like overly creepy or just bizarre or like 100% not able to exist backstories for these guys. Like, it just makes me want to shake Game Freak because like there are so many fantastic fan artist Pokemon out there. Like, just go steal some of them. I'm sure the fans would be fine with it. Like, just give us like a nod and do like a whole fan created generation. How cool would that be?
Oh, anyway. Wait, we got Haxorus. How could I forget about that guy?
Yes.
We got the America Bird. You already know. If you don't know, you don't know.
Oh, man. But what about Gothita, Gothorita, and Gothitelle?
You know, they creeped me out, so I never liked them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a fan of the humanoid Pokemon at all. Like, Mr. Mime is just wrong. Jinx is just... Oh my god. Like...
It's gonna be okay.
Let's not do that. I mean, the most humanoid they can get is, like, Machop. You know, like it's bipedal and a fighting type, but it's still not just a person that is a, like... That just hurts my brain. Like, Mr. Mime, half of them are female, and it's still Mr. Mime. And again, we come into the problem that you just described, like, Pokemon are based on humans, even though they're, you know, a separate creature. It's too much. Oh man, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... What about gameplay for this generation? Was there anything that stood out in particular that made it strong for you?
Let me see. I think this was the first time we got triple battles, but that went the way of the dodo, rightfully so. Gameplay. I'm trying to see if they did anything new. They didn't add any new typings or... I feel like there's something they did gameplay wise, and I'm just missing it. Oh wait, they introduced hidden abilities. That was a game changer.
Oh, I didn't know that was this generation.
Yeah, that's when you actually had to go to the dream world to get the hidden abilities, and that was like stupid hard to get.
What in Pokemon is not stupid hard to get?
Yeah. I don't know if anyone out there listening remembers the dream world, but that was just you had to really want a hidden ability back in the day. Like, you really wanted it. But yeah, they introduced hidden abilities, and I would say that was a pretty big game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I avoided that when I first played the game. It's like, nope. So, I mean, that's kind of a big question. Is like, what type of Pokemon player are you? We have so many different types, right? We have like the shiny hunters, we have the completionists, we have and I hate using this word, but the casuals who just like go through the story, don't do endgame stuff. Like, what type of Pokemon player are you?
Competitive battler. I would say that's probably the main category I'm in.
Okay. So how did you use this game for competitive battling?
I would say this was probably the first game that I actually started to like take battling seriously.
Okay, so maybe that's a big part of why it stands out in your mind then.
Maybe. I say that because I thought I took it seriously in the previous generation during the was it Diamond and Pearl? Yeah.
Yeah.
but then in Black and White was probably the first time I started EV training. So
okay. Yeah. And I feel like those moments are necessary to get people into the real complexity that is Pokemon. Because I feel like people who don't play it at that level don't understand how complex this game can
they've
be.
never hatched thousands of eggs, literally.
Right? They don't really know about IVs or natures or anything like that. So yeah, like I'm trying to remember like what my moment was that got me, and like I've never really been that kind of player. I would say I'm more of, again, I hate this word, but the casual player. Like how can something that has probably taken up, I don't even know, 8% of my life, we'll just go with that, be casual. But anyway, like I don't know.
You don't know where you fall? Are you the shiny hunter?
I don't.
You know, I legit have a friend who is a breeder. He just loves breeding Pokemon with unique moves or unique... Like, he legit loves that. Like, he's the Brock, but in the game.
Huh. Yeah, that's cool. See, and I've never been the breeder either, and my patience for shiny hunting is, like, 0. The only shiny hunting I do is in, like, all of the other games. Like, even Pokemon Quest, I've gotten more shinies than, like, the main games. I don't think I've ever gotten a shiny in the main games.
I can never shiny hunt, because I'm just, like, half the shinies look either worse, almost exactly the same. I'm looking at you, shiny Gengar. Or...
Shiny Pikachu, even.
Or amazing, like Shiny Ponyta, which everyone keeps catching in Pokemon Go except me, but we're not going to talk about that.
Like, but they just launched that, like, a couple days ago, and I'm already, I need it. I need it. But then at the same time, like, I love Shiny Horsey, which is almost the same as regular Horsey, but just, like, slightly more teal. But, like, there's just something about those, like, nuclear green Pokemon that makes me just... not like shinies.
Dragonite, like Espeon, yes.
Yep. Like, Espeon, why? Like, that is one of my, like, that's probably my favorite evolution, but its shiny is just so horrible. And, like, I'm sure you know this, but, like, the reason they gave behind that was that they generated their shinies through, like, this program, this numerical program, and... some just got unlucky. Like, they didn't manually make all of the older generation's shinies. They just plugged them into this program, and whatever color they got. And when I found that out, I was like, that makes a lot more sense than someone making the conscious decision to make something nuclear green.
You know, I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, like, I'm happy I do know that, but why didn't they, like, go back and fix it? Because there are so many just wrong shinies that need to be righted. But anyway. Yeah, I've never done competitive battling either. Although I'm not out of that range, so I don't know how I would define my Pokemon.
You're just a passionate player.
Yeah, and that's fine, you know? So I guess that kind of goes into a deeper question that I have for you, and that's, why do you think so many people gravitate towards this game series? Why do you think there's so many people who are not only passionate, but, like, people who were willing to go play Pokemon Go when it came out, you know? Like, so many people who weren't even, again, air quotes, gamers, went out and played this game obsessively just because it had Pokemon attached to it.
Because, like most things from the 90s, Pokemon has a strong nostalgia factor to anyone who grew up through that decade. Because even if you didn't play the game, you had to interact with Pokemon in some way via the cards, via the show, you know, the toys. You know, it was a cultural phenomenon. Like, you just can't dispute that.
Oh, definitely. But then, like... Oh, keep on going.
And I feel like it just seeped into people's consciousness, whether they wanted to or not, prime example. If you go into a mall, I actually told this to my friend once. We were in San Antonio. I was showing around. She'd never been to Texas. And she was like, Pokemon, pfft. And we were walking in Riverwalk. And I told her, if you go into a mall or a crowded place and start singing a Pokemon theme song, I bet you people will stop and or start with you. And so I jokingly started singing it. And there was an older woman pushing her child in her stroller and started singing it as she walked by. I honestly didn't think anyone would, but it happened. And that's,
oh my gosh.
And I think that's what it is. It's subconsciously, Pokemon is a part of anyone's life who grew up in the 90s, whether you want it to be or not.
It's an infection.
And so a lot of people, who didn't play the games or maybe just played the Game Boy games was like, I'm done with this. It wasn't that they didn't like Pokemon, but Pokemon had become such a foreign entity to them from what they knew that they just couldn't find a way to get back into it. But here comes Pokemon Go, exclusively just the originals. It's a simple concept. You don't need to know anything outside of just the names. And, when people saw Pokemon, it was always like, the 5th gen and the 6th gen and all these strange creatures to them. But here's Pokemon Go. Here's Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, Beedrill, Nidoking. Everything you used to love about Pokemon. And you have a phone, and it's free. You don't need to go buy a game console. And so what you really saw was, yes, you have the people playing it because it was just, the cool thing to do, quote unquote. But you honestly had a lot of people playing it and being like, oh crap, the one Pokemon I used to always love. And even though I could never play the games for whatever reason, I never got into them, now I'm going to be able to be part of the experience. So I think a lot of people was getting the experience that we've been getting with the games for years for the very first time.
Yeah, that's a cool way to put it. Like, people who didn't necessarily have time to sink over 300 hours per generation in the game still had that opportunity to go back and enjoy the Pokemon. So yeah, that's a cool point. So yeah, like you were talking about how the pervasiveness of the whole series and everything in Pokemon kind of kept everyone around. But I feel like there's something beyond that too. Like, there was a stat I saw that Pikachu is the most recognized, like, cartoon icon of all time, like, outpacing even Mickey Mouse, But Mickey Mouse is still incredibly popular, incredibly recognizable. But there's something a little bit extra special about Pokemon that people gravitate towards. And I mean, like, you're playing with, like, really cool, awesome animals and they're your best friend, but I think there's something to what they created that made it extra special.
I've actually thought about this myself, and I came up with some reasons. Oh, one, back to your game question, why do hardcore people love it? I think the game, just exclusively the game, it's as deep as you want it to be. It can be, like you said, a casual person can enjoy it and just be like, yeah, I played it. Whereas, someone like me who battles competitively can go and get that grind, like, oh, I need these natures, these stats, these combinations, this team. I can take a Pokemon that sucks on its own, but put it in the right team and it's a superstar. And, it's a game you can equally invest 30 hours or 300 hours and basically get the same amount of enjoyment. And for people who play other hardcore RPGs, I've told people, if you wanted to play Pokemon at a high level, you will find out that everything you love about grinding, building a team from those other RPGs is here in Pokemon and then some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
definitely.
Why Pokemon resonated with so many people is, I think, actually it goes back to the theme song. Pokemon gave us a world where, I want to be the very best like no one ever was, but it was actually possible. As long as you had a working mind, that's all you needed. Because the Pokemon world isn't different from our real world. It's not like Harry Potter. It's not like, oh, you have to be a wizard and, learn spells. And,
you have to be selected.
Yeah. Or, or it's like a superhero world. Oh, you need superpowers. Or even the RPGs, oh, these were the chosen royalty and these people trained for, like, no. It even gave you an entry. The entry fee for Pokemon was being 10 years old. That was the only thing you had to do. You had to live at least 10 years. And then through hard work and effort, you can achieve anything in this world. And like I said, this world didn't depend on your athletic ability. You know, it necessarily didn't even, depend on your book smarts or like your genes or who you are. Rich, poor, race, gender, none of that mattered. All that mattered was your drive to be the best and you spending time with your creatures. And the best thing about it was, even in this world, even if you didn't want to battle, it gave us things like breeders, coordinators, for Pokemon, the contest. It made a believable world that even if you didn't like to battle, there was some way you can interact with these creatures and have a good time.
Yeah.
And
yeah, for sure.
And when you actually take that to playing the game, it's like your dog. You know that there's many dogs on the planet. You know that there's many breeds of this same dog. There's many Jack Terriers, but this one is yours. You've literally, trained it, lived with it. And it sounds weird, but you can almost tell its personality versus your other Pokemon.
Yeah. No, that's a good analogy or metaphor.
Maybe both.
Metaphor. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I think that's a really good way to put it, because you do spend a bunch of hours leveling up your team, and you spend a lot of time with them and dedication. And there's just something that makes them special because of that. But yeah, going back to your point where it's possible in the game, and that's a point I've kind of come up with myself in video games in general. It's that video games are a fair version of our world. Like, if you put in your time and effort, you will see a return in a video game. And that's why I think they're so therapeutic for some people. At least most games. Of course, there's games that go outside the sphere, but like, if I spend all of my time in Red Dead collecting fur, I will get money for that guaranteed, and I will level up my skill. Meanwhile, in the real world, that was a really tough life, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling, but there's just something that is righted in video games that we don't get in the real world. At least that's what I kind of take away from video games in general.
Oh no, I completely feel you. Like, I remember I was telling my mom once when I was younger, and she was like, why do you, essentially asking me, but not in a rude way, why do you love this so much? And at the time, I was playing Wind Waker, and I was telling her the story. And, I always loved Toon Link because, unlike all the other Links, he wasn't a chosen hero. He had to learn to be a hero, and then was given the opportunity to walk away. Like, he's probably the most heroic Link out of all the Links because he wasn't born to Triforce of Courage. He probably wasn't even a descendant of the hero. He was just a kid that was thrust into this crazy world. And I remember his drive to save his sister was like almost my drive to save my sister. I don't have a sister, but, I wanted to do this because, like, I felt like him. I don't want to go in this ocean. I don't want to do this, but I'm really going to do this for her. And then thus, here's a journey, here's a tale that has nothing to do with me, but I'm going to embark on it to, to do the right thing. And he wasn't courageous. He learned to be courageous over the course of the game and fought through everything he could and became, the new hero.
Yeah.
And I always tell people this, unlike TVs and books, I can watch a movie, but I'll never get that feeling of, I want to save the person in danger, because it's a movie. I'm watching someone else do that and experience those emotions through acting and other things. I'm reading a book, but, I don't necessarily put myself in that role. I can relate, I can sympathize, but video games gives you the power to feel the emotion. Sometimes, if you're not playing a silent protagonist, when the character cries out, you feel that weight with them.
Yeah, totally. I've had so many emotional moments in video games that, like, yes, I'll cry if there's a really good TV show or movie moment, but I have not felt the same depth of emotion that I have with video games. Like, the ending of Final Fantasy 15 ripped my heart out. Absolutely ripped my heart out. And it's we get that full immersion, I think, especially people who are, willing to invest that time into it, and that's what makes it so special.
I will never forget the time when I beat Metal Gear Solid 3 for the first time and I had to shoot the boss. Like, I was shaking. Like, I did not want to go through with it. Even though the big reveal hasn't been revealed, like, you just knew in your heart that this wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah, my partner is big. He's a big Metal Gear fan, and I think he wandered around that field, or tried to wander, or did something like to that effect, just trying to figure out any other way to finish the game or move forward without having to do it. But of course, Kojima's a jerk and didn't let that happen.
And the most genius game design part was you had to pull the literal trigger, press the button. It just didn't play out.
It was you.
So it wasn't like you sat back and was like, oh man, that sucks. I just had to watch it happen. You had to. It wrecked me completely. And I real quick, you're a Kingdom Hearts person, right?
Yeah.
I will never. Not
all of them, but
you played 2, right?
Yes, I played 1 and 2, and then one of the other ones.
I literally wept as Roxas stared at Sora, and he said, "I guess my summer vacation is over," and faded from existence.
Oh man. Yeah, my heart hurt just hearing that.
Because I was thinking, you play as someone who technically doesn't exist and had to watch them watch their world fall apart and be told your existence doesn't matter. You're just a part of somebody greater.
Yeah, I mean, it's even in Final Fantasy X, where we get that big reveal, and it's there's just something special about playing through these games that you don't get in any other medium.
Yeah, no, because like I said, I think I felt what Roxas felt at that moment, and if I watched it, unfold on the big screen or a TV show, I'll be like, oh, that sucks, maybe a solemn tear, but it's not going forth through that, So, when you inevitably see him again, and, when Naminé tells him we'll meet again, but we won't know it, and you finally have the meeting between Sora and Kairi, and you see them, reflections of them, it damn near broke me again. Versus if that was just a TV show, and it's like, oh, look, that's cute. That's the thing that they said would happen. Oh.
Yeah. Although I will say, good anime can definitely break my heart too.
Oh yeah, they know what they're doing.
Oh man,
but I read the manga, so I'm already prepared.
Oh, and are you a sub or dub person?
I'm primarily a sub because I just don't feel like waiting 3 months for the dub. But if the dub is fair. Good, I'd rather just watch the dub.
Right, so you can actually watch the show and not just stare at the bottom of the screen the whole time.
Yeah, because sometimes you miss the little nuances as you're reading. Something, you have to rewind and go back.
Yep, I'm definitely team dub, because I don't want to just be reading the whole time.
You have your Cowboy Bebops where, the dub is amazing, so you don't have to worry about the sub.
Yeah, oh my god, I love that voice actor. I purposefully have not looked up what he looks like because I just need that illusion to stay in my head. I need him to just be those characters. But anyway, we've traveled very far off topic, but in a good way. So you nominated this game. Do you think it's one of the best games, period?
Black and White? I'll say probably Black 2, White 2. I'll give it to that.
Okay. So what made the sequels... Yeah, because those were technically sequels. Yeah. What made them even better than the first two?
We had Iris as the champion, which I thought was amazing. The fashion was actually probably the best the series has seen in Black and White 2.
All right.
No, really, go look at the girl design and boy design for Black 2.
Is that the one where she had the frilly shorts?
Yeah, and the leggings.
Is that what I'm thinking? Okay. Yeah.
And the loop ponytail on both sides, or I don't know, whatever you would call that.
Yeah, whatever that hair is. There's some amazingly horrendous hair in that game.
And the guy had the shorts and then the boy leggings, whatever you call boy leggings. I'm not sure.
Just leggings.
And the fashion was really good, trainer wise for the protagonists. Everyone else, not so much. And the story was good. It was a continuation of the events from Black and White, and it was just fun. Like in Gold and Silver, one of the best things people love about you saw how the world changed from Red and Blue, and Black 2 and White 2. You have that same thing. You see how the world has changed and evolved, and that's always fun in the Pokemon games.
Yeah, and those legendaries are really awesome in Black 2 and White 2.
Yeah, I would. Their whole shtick was good, because sometimes the legendaries are hit or miss how they, they want to portray them and how they fit in the story. But I feel like Black and White got it right.
Yeah. Well, I'm totally biased. I'm gonna think like any Pokemon game is the best, period. So I'm gonna go with yes on this one too. So yeah, we'll let you lovely listeners decide on that if I ever remember to do our polls ever again, since I don't know if you know this, Odell, but we do a poll every week to see if listeners agree with our decisions on some of the best games ever. And last week we talked about Pokemon Snap, and I wanted to ask you if you dig Pokemon Snap and if you think it's one of the best games.
I do not think it's one of the best games ever, but I will say it's probably one of the best games ever where you take photos as the only thing you do.
Okay, name 3 photo games.
Fatal Frame.
All right.
And wait, hold on. Oh, hold on.
Right.
Wait, does Pokemon Snap count one as the 3, or I can't count Pokemon Snap?
No, it doesn't. But
okay, so you have Fatal Frame.
I only put you on the spot because we talked about this last week, and it was like, yeah, it was seriously like Fatal Frame, and Jack had another one, and I can't remember it, but like that's the only one I can remember, and then all of the other like photo
Beyond Good and Evil.
There we go. Yeah, that was another one. Oh man, so there's not a lot of them basically, but yeah, like it's a cute game. It's a great game.
It had a lot more depth than you initially think.
Yeah, exactly.
And those Blockbuster kiosks, made it a game.
Man, I want stuff like that to come back. That is the coolest thing ever. Just being able to print out your pictures. Like I was telling Jack last time, they need to get that feature in Pokemon Go. Like, why have they not done that yet? It would be so perfect.
Because you want it too bad.
That's exactly what Nintendo is allergic to, is giving us what we want. So... Alright, so another segment we have on the show is called Contrarian Corner, and that's where we find some wonderful negative reviews of the game via Metacritic.
Uh-oh.
And so, yep. So these couple reviews are for Pokemon White, and let me see. Some of them are pretty reasonable. So the first one is from Lele Fox, and they wrote this review in 2013, and they said, "Sorry for such a harsh rating for such a popular title, but this game just did not impress me. Being the long-term Pokemon fan I am since Pokemon originated, I just found this one lacking and being aggravating in so many ways. Not to mention some of the new Pokemon just seem pathetic and look like the makers just whipped up because they were running out of ideas. I mean, an ice cream cone Pokemon? Really? I sold this game before even reaching the ending. Yes, the main Pokemon on the cover is cool, but that's about it."
I feel like you can
they gave it a 3.
You can't really say you reviewed a game if you say I gave up before the ending.
Yeah. That's fair.
But that's their opinion.
At least they admitted it.
That's true.
And this next one is from Strider Kiwi. And they said, "What a waste of a game. First off, you cannot get older Pokemon, only all of the newer and dumber ones. Secondly, if you pick black, you get the white legendary, and if you pick white, you get the black legendary, because that makes perfect sense." Is that true? Really?
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
remember that.
Yeah, and
I guess
black,
I never
you
really
get Rashim, and in white you get Zekrom.
Huh. Anyway, as for everything else, have you played any other Pokemon game? Yes, then you have absolutely no reason to play this one because it's just the same. Only Nintendo must have put... Oh, I'm not going to read that part.
Oh my.
Basically, they're mean to Nintendo there, but use bad language. But yeah. So, I mean, and that's another thing that comes up with Pokemon a lot is that there's not a lot of variety in gameplay. And I will admit it, but like you said earlier, Odell, like there's so many different things to be doing in this game. I feel like that's why they've been able to kind of get away with repackaging the same formula, but giving us new features, new Pokemon and whatnot, and just doing that for years and years and
I mean,
years.
to be fair, if that's one of your main complaints with Pokemon, I better not see any shooter in your collection.
Right. That's a good point. All you do is shoot the people with guns. Like, yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, sir. And once again, where can people find you and your other podcast? Or I guess your main podcast.
You can find me at Odell Harmon Jr. That's ODELLHARMON Jr. on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all your favorite social medias. And you can find my podcast at Full Circle Podcast 23 on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find the video on the Game Fanatics channel on YouTube.
All right, right on. And you can find Best Games Period podcast on most of the places where you can find podcasts, like SoundCloud, iTunes, Libsyn. We also can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Best Games Period. And you can find this show on extralife.org, at community.extra-life.com, or .org, excuse me. And if you don't know what Extra Life is, it's an amazing charity that raises money for sick and injured kiddos in Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You can raise money, even though we just passed game day on November 3rd, you can raise money any day of the year, and you can play video games to do it. And that's pretty much a win-win. So you can check out more information there on extralife.org. And with that, we will be seeing you all on the Flippity Dippity.
Yeah.